Hello and good morning and welcome to Morning Brew on Labour Social. I'm Graham Hughes. It is Monday, the 4th of December 2023. We are barreling full pelt towards the end of the year. And today I want to talk about the article that was published over the weekend in the Telegraph newspaper, penned by Keir Starmer. He was writing in a Tory newspaper. We often call the Telegraph the Tory Graph, for obvious reasons, because it supports the Tories. It's become quite a rag in the last few years, just a sort of a more upper crust version of the Sun newspaper in many respects. However, it is still read by a bunch of Tory voters, and this is what I want to talk about this morning: is why did Keir Starmer write it? Why did he write what he did? And what was the point? You know, why would he do such a thing? Well, here's the thing, right? In order to win, and win big next year, in order to destroy the Tory party, Keir Starmer needs people who have voted Conservative all their lives to vote for Labour. And that's difficult. Or stay at home and don't vote. One of the two. It's more likely that they'll stay at home and not vote. It takes a lot to change people's political allegiance. It's a bit like getting them to support a different football team in many respects, especially for people who aren't really that interested in politics, don't take a massive interest in it. But, you know, throw in a cursory glance every now and again and see what's going on. So I'll read exactly what Keir Starmer said. It's in the description below. But the actual article is behind a paywall. If only there was a way of getting around a paywall, like say if someone made a website called archive.ph and you just put the URL of the article that you want to read into that website, that would be rather naughty. So don't do that. Don't do that. It's piracy and very wrong. And we wouldn't want to cut into the profits of the owner of the Telegraph, the Barclay brother. Just the single brother. Anyway, every moment, this is what Starmer wrote, every moment of meaningful change in modern British politics begins with the realisation that politics must act in the service of British people rather than dictating to them. Margaret Thatcher sought to drag Britain out of its stupor by setting loose our natural entrepreneurialism. That's it. Tony Blair reimagined a stale, outdated Labour Party into one that could seize the optimism of the late 90s. A century ago, Clement Attlee wrote, "Labour must be a party of duty and patriotism, not abstract theory. To build a new Jerusalem," inverted commas, meant first casting off the mind-forged manacles. That lesson is as true today as it was then. So what he's written about Thatcher is Margaret Thatcher sought to drag Britain out of its stupor by setting loose our natural entrepreneurialism. So let's break this down. She sought to drag Britain. He's not saying that he did. She did. She sought to do it. Whether she was successful or not is another matter. And whether she was successful at setting loose our natural entrepreneurialism is another matter as well. It's written very loyally, so it's not giving a commitment at all. Now, I know how much of a hate figure Thatcher is on the left. I grew up in Liverpool. However, there are times when you have to give people that you don't like and people that you disagree with venomously about policy, you have to give them their due. And this is one of those times. There was a guy who came on the radio yesterday. He was a guy in Momentum called Martin Abrams. And he actually said, he admitted that Thatcher was a talented politician. And I felt like, you know, obviously you can't jump onto the radio and go, aha, you said it now, you can't take it back. You said that she was a talented politician. You love Thatcher. You think that she's the best person ever. And all your policies are all like, yay, Thatcher. That's not the case. And I'll also point out that it's possible for you to say Thatcher did some good things. She did. Although it pains me to say this. And I might lose some viewers. I don't know. Please stick with me. She did push the world for a worldwide moratorium on the production of CFCs in refrigerators and aerosol cans. The British government led that because she had a degree in chemistry. She could read a goddamn scientific paper, unlike the guy who's in charge of COP28, who's currently sitting in Dubai saying that there is no scientific connection between the burning of fossil fuels and global boiling. And you just want to go, my God. Yeah, anyway, Thatcher could read a scientific paper. She went, shit, there's a hole in the ozone layer. That ain't good. And although, at the time, had the right wing decided to go down the Tufton Street route, I'm sure they would have done things like say, I looked up at the sky the other day and it was very clear and I didn't see any hole. Oh, the hole is only over Australia and the Antarctic. I mean, no one lives in the Antarctic, so no one's going to get skin cancer. What's the problem? That's the sort of shit we would have had to put up with had Tufton Street been in full flow in the 1980s, like it is today. So there's something nice that I can say about Thatcher, or something decent that she did. She did a lot of horrible things as well. She did a lot of stupid things, letting people buy their own council homes. Okay, that's all right. But then not replacing those council homes, really bad. Getting this money out from the North Sea. That's good. Yeah, well done. Money, North Sea, oil, fantastic. I guess not great for the environment, but that's a lot of money for Britain. Oh, hang on. Where's all that money gone? Oh, you give it to your rich mates. Okay, so we're not going to have a sovereign wealth fund like in Norway, where every single man, woman, and child has over £100,000 off the government to play with effectively because it's a sovereign wealth fund, and that's paid for by the oil revenues that came in from the North Sea oil, not far from where we were drilling our North Sea oil. So, then on top of all this, you've got the fact that your man, Tony Blair, he invited Thatcher into Downing Street not long after he was elected. If anyone remembers this, I seem to remember it. Maybe I dreamt it. I don't know. I didn't check before I came online and started talking at you. Yeah, he had around to number 10 to have a chat about being Prime Minister, I guess. But here's the thing, and Nick and Diff is shouting this at me in the chat. I can see. Hi, Nick. Starmer did not praise Thatcher. That was the line. Margaret Thatcher sought to drag Britain out of its stupor by setting loose on natural entrepreneurialism. That's not saying she was good. That's not saying she was moral. That's not saying she was right. That's not saying that she achieved anything. That's not saying that when Labour get into power, we're just going to become little Thatcherites. He didn't say that. And yet, you have people on the left of Labour, our faves, who have gone absolutely cock-a-loop about this. How dare you say anything nice about Thatcher? I'm going to go on the radio and say that you're a terrible, terrible person, while also admitting that Thatcher was a talented politician. But no, that's not praise. That's not praise. She was an evil, talented politician. Yeah, that's right. Wouldn't want to praise her. Wouldn't want to say anything remotely positive about her in a Tory newspaper when you're trying to appeal to Tory voters. Think about this for a moment. To get them to vote for Labour. And what the strategy is, we on this channel often talk about Labour comms, and it's not great. But that's towards new media, social media. They're not doing a great job, but that's more geared towards younger voters. For the older voters who read the Telegraph, this is the kind of thing you need to do. Throw them a sop. It's fine. It's not going to be the end of Labour as we know it. Because Labour, through all the years, has, when it's got into power, or when it's tried to get into power and then achieve that successfully, it has had to adapt. And it is very interesting that people say about the previous leader of the Labour Party, the he who shall not be named. He was a principled man. Yeah. He got his principles in the 1970s and never, ever, ever changed his mind about anything. Anything. And yet, when he was the head of the Remain campaign, along with David Cameron, did you know that? Did you know he was the head of the Stay In campaign during the Brexit referendum? News to a lot of us. News to the 50% of Labour voters the week before the referendum who didn't know whether Labour were for or against staying in the EU. It was very much through gritted teeth that the previous leader said that we should stay in the EU. He gave it a 7 out of 10, I think, on the last leg when he appeared on that. It's 7 out of 10. I think I'll give the EU, tub thumping support there. Meanwhile, all these yahoos, jungle addicts, lunatics, what are they called? Nigel Farage and all his mates were screaming that, if we leave the EU, there'll be blue skies over the white cliffs of Dover. We'll have all the deformed bananas we'll ever want to do whatever you do with deformed bananas. We'll have blue passports and everyone will be out on the streets singing and dancing and just so happy and free. And they were promising the earth. Meanwhile, the people running the Remain campaign, Cameron and the previous leader of the Labour Party, both really had no interest in us staying in the EU. They didn't care either way. And that was made very obvious by the lack of, vigour, shall we say, in campaigning to stay in the EU, which has now cost the British economy over £1,000 billion, over £1 trillion Brexit has cost us so far. Good job, everyone. Right, so the broad and short of it is, we all know why Starmer wrote this for the Telegraph. He had a singular purpose in doing so. And the people who are now saying, how dare he, and calling him a flip-flopper for some reason. I don't know why this thing on the left is so important, that if you say you're going to do X, but then Y happens, and so you adapt what you're going to do, that's a big problem. I don't understand that. Being someone who has actually gone out there, put myself into situations where things go wrong, things change. If I stick to the original plan, that plan is doomed because it's not going to work. Circumstances have changed. Quick, plan B, plan C, plan D. And also, people on the left who are like, he said he was going to do this if he was elected leader. Yes, he said he would like to do this, but aside from the kamikaze budget last year and the invasion of Ukraine and COVID that all happened after he made those statements, it was what he would like to do, not what he would do necessarily, because it is not a dictatorship. The Labour Party is not a dictatorship. It is a cabinet of people, a government of people who all have to agree and take collective responsibility for what they agree. So Starmer might say, I want to get rid of tuition fees. And they'll say, well, we can't actually afford to do that. If we do that, all the universities in the country will close down and we'll have a massive bill because we can't pay. Okay, well, what's plan B then? What else can we do to kind of achieve the goal of alleviating the suffering of people who are now leaving university with 50 grand of debt hanging over their head like a sword of Damocles? What can we do to make that situation better? Well, we can fund universities better because the actual money that they get from tuition fees isn't enough to cover the tuition costs of each individual student. So these universities, for the domestic audience, are running at a loss, and they're only making that up by getting people from other countries to come here. They can charge them a lot more, and they can use that money to offset how much it costs to educate someone else in this country. Hey, how about we give a bit more, of money to universities to educate British people? There you go, a little bit of funding that way. And how about, instead of having tuition fees, we just simply have a graduate tax that kicks in over 30,000k a year. That's it. You pay an extra % for the rest of your life. If you're earning that much money, come on. Anyway, and if you drop off your course in the third year, maybe you pay 0.5%. Anyway, right. So the point being, there's no point in having a mind if you can't change it. And thinking that someone is principled because they never change their mind, I think is erroneous. I think that's a daft way of looking at it, because the type of person who never changes their mind about anything, even when presented with the facts, isn't a principled person. That person's an idiot, in my estimation. Right, into the chat. Hello. Lesson 1, don't read the headlines. Exactly. He didn't praise Thatcher, and I made the little thumbnail and gave it the title because I know it's good clickbait. We need people to watch this channel. So, come in, one and all. Might get some angry comments. The chat's staying quite nice, but yeah, I might get some angry comments at the bottom of this video. Starmer, kid starver, Keith, you're all bald. Alan says, going to the Ukraine has it's just Ukraine, Jeff. Sorry, Alan. Has reinvigorated Ukraine. Loving this podcast. Well, yes. I've been driving solidly for like the best part of, traveling solidly for the best part of 5 days. And three of those days, we travelled over 4,000 kilometres from near Bitburg in Germany, which is right on the border with Luxembourg. Effectively, we drove from Luxembourg all the way to Lviv, and then all the way back again over the course of 3 days. It was one hell of a drive, and I don't know if anyone saw the show that I did yesterday from the airport. I mean, we didn't get in till 3 o'clock. When we started driving, I think it said that we would get in around 11 o'clock, and we had just the there was a freaking blizzard. Loads of the autobahn was having work done, and so the little chicanes that you had to go around, which were a nightmare, and our water squirty thing onto the windscreen broke when we were driving through Germany. It froze and then it burst. The actual pipe burst. We couldn't fix it. Tried to tape it up. You know, we're in a blizzard trying to tape up this thing so the duct can get through the pipe can get to the the water spray on the window, because when you're driving in the snow and you drive past anything or anything drives past you, it kicks up all this dirt from the bloody road, from the autobahn, and that goes all over your windscreen and makes it very difficult to see, like in the Blues Brothers. Although that wasn't that. Anyway, there we go. No, he's right. Who can we vote for now? Why do people call Keir Starmer Keith? I think it's because they think they're funny. They might be. I don't know. Never heard them tell a joke. We knew this Tory media manipulated hype was on its way, didn't we? Buckle up tight. It's only the start of the beginning, not the beginning of the end, etc. Says Hugh. You're absolutely right. Let's level that playing field. It's uneducated people that have a go at Keir Starmer. I hope I didn't offend anyone. Don't offend me, mate. I've said this before. You know, I'm not a massive Keir Starmer fan. You know, he's capable. I quite like the guy. He seems to know what he's doing, and he's I don't know if I want to go for a pint with him, but so what? I don't want someone I want to go to a pint with. We had that with Trump, and we had that with Boris Johnson. Oh, he's one of those good guys. You know, we go for a pint with him. He'll entertain everyone. He'll have a laugh. It's just his personality politics, and I think because Keir Starmer doesn't have that stronger personality, that's what people on the hard left, they say they're on the hard left, they might not be. That's what people who criticise Starmer, that's a better way of putting it. I don't want to alienate people watching this and thinking, well, I'm to the left of Starmer. I'm to the left of Starmer, to be honest with you. I'm to the left of a lot of the stuff in that the Labour are planning to do. So's Phil. You know, Phil understands, as do I, and as do people watching this, and Keir Starmer, politics is the art of the possible. What can you do? Can we run an election and win it by saying we're going to rejoin the EU? Maybe not, because it's not the most important issue right now for a lot of people. But, and this is really, really important, and it's something that was, I tried to tell people, you know, but get this point across when we were fighting against Brexit. When people voted to leave the European Union, the millions of those people who voted for that, who live in safe seats, which is the majority of people in this country, they, for the first time in their life, put an X on a piece of paper, and it actually changed things. A significant change, and they have a understandable emotional attachment to that. But you know, time is a great healer. That first rush when you fall in love, it fades over time. Of course it does. That anger that you felt about that person that did that thing, it fades over time. The pain, the upset, anything, it fades over time. Whether it's a positive emotion or a negative emotion, it fades. But we're not quite there yet. And we can't risk the Tories saying, Starmer's going to take us back into the EU. That's what he's going to do. He's going to take us back into the EU. And that's exactly what they're already trying to put out there, that he's going to take us back into the EU. And Labour, the only way of really shutting that down is like, we're not even talking about it. It's not in our manifesto. We're not making it a public policy statement. We're just not even going to talk about it. I understand why they're doing it. I don't like it. But if politics is truly the art of the possible, it's just what you've got to do. Literally rubbed shoulders with covert agents and didn't see them due to liability. I don't know what you're talking about there, Wes. That wasn't me on the way to Ukraine, was it? Keir is a highly intelligent person, will be the best PM this country will have ever had. He will invigorate this country. I would have a pint with him anytime, as long as he's buying, says Andy. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, that's a bit unfair. Okay, yeah, I would have a pint with him, but I wouldn't be like, all right, we're going to have a party, and we're going to have Keir here, because he's the life and soul, and you know that the party's going to be 10 times better if we have a Keir here. Keir here now. I think that's an election slogan for you. Patrick H says, election after next, the Tories will stand on a policy of rejoining the single market. I don't doubt it. So like I say, now is not the time. And God, I hate saying that. Like the words feel really in my mouth. Now is not the time to be talking about the EU rejoining, unfortunately. It's my, that's my dream. That's my obsession. Not sending defenseless women and children off to bloody Rwanda for some reason. It's not the time to be talking about UBI at the moment, unfortunately, and it's not the time to be talking about PR and voting reform. Although it is massively important and something that there is a strong minority that really, really want it and are going to be pushing for it. It is something that we are never going to get the Tories to do, but it's something that we can get Labour to do. Over the next 5-10 years, we can get Labour on side on this. We know that Labour activists and Labour members and the trade unions are already behind PR. We know that. That was proved at the conference last year. So don't worry about that. That's cool. Going forward, we need Labour to say, yeah, we're going to actually do this as part of our, part of our plan. Maybe they'll put it in the manifesto in 2029. Phil's mentioned that they could just put it in the manifesto in 2024, that they'll look at voter reform and then they can say, well, we said that we were going to do that. Voting reform. Sorry, we don't want to reform the voters. We want to reform the system. The goddamn system. Starmer's pro bono work for striking miners and people suffering from human rights abuses shows me his character. He's a good man. He'll be a good leader for this country, says Eddie. Yeah. And the previous leader who got a bursary for North London Polytechnic to go and do Labour, what was it? Not Labour studies, union studies or something like that. Yeah. And who paid for that? Oh, a union? A union paid for that? Okay. Well, that was nice. That was nice of a union to pay for a prep school kid to go to university, well, Polytechnic as it was then, and get himself a degree or equivalent. So that seems fair enough. He probably had the money to do that himself, and he could have worked like I had to in university. Worked 8 hours behind the bar each week, 16 sometimes. But that's fine. That's fine. He did that. What? He dropped out. He dropped out. Yeah, he dropped out. So he got the money from a union whose members would have been working class lads and women working for minimum wage. Well, there wasn't even a minimum wage back then, working for sweet FA, and they had to give a percentage of their pay packet to the union that they belonged to, and that union chose to give money to this rich kid from down south because he said he was going to do this, trade union studies at university, Polytechnic, at a time when there was no tuition fees. You actually got a bursary for going to university back then. So, obviously he needed more money. Maybe he likes to live a quite luxurious life. I don't know. But the fact that he dropped out, it's a lot easier when it's someone else's money, isn't it? So, yeah. Let's not go there. The EU wouldn't have us back until the Tories are on board as a significant majority, and a significant majority of the electorate want it, Simon. Yeah, you're absolutely right in the chat there, Simon. I couldn't agree more. You're right. The EU is if nothing else, the EU is ultimately quite practical in the way it approaches problems. It's a practical problem solver. Let's call it that. So what else have we got in the chat here? Nigel seems pretty keen on PR. Well, that's another reason to delay it for a few years. Maybe he'll step on something unpleasant in the jungle. We can only hope. To be fair, he's also kicked out of socialist groups of lawyers as well. Bursaries where income related, or the Tories no longer exist. So he was kicked out of the socialist group of lawyers. This is a guy who did pro bono work for the striking miners and also for the McLibel trial, if you remember that from the 1990s. A guy who also went around the world getting people off the death penalty. Over 150 people, I think was the number, and that Keir Starmer managed to do that. But what a bastard! And he also bloody bought a field so he could have a donkey sanctuary for his mum. What a shit! And so the worst thing that people can get about Starmer is he changes his mind. And the Tories know this, and this is why all the Tory commentators are like, oh, he's flip-flopped, he's changed his mind, he's changed... And it kind of annoys me in Prime Minister's Questions, and those who watch that on this channel will possibly appreciate this. You've changed your mind, you flip-flop about this. I'm like, the Tories changed their mind more than they changed their freaking underwear. Like, they decided that they were going to have a kamikaze budget. Did they go through with it? Did they? Hell. They said they were going to do X, Y, Z. Did they go through it? Did they? Hell. They said they were going to bring in checks for food coming into the UK. And the date of them doing that has been pushed back 5 or 6 times now. They said they were going to do HS2. They didn't. They lied. They flip-flopped. So, when the manifesto comes out for Labour, for the next election, I'm going to be on this channel. I'll still be here. I'm not planning on going anywhere. Heaven, touch wood. We're going to be saying, hey, this was in their manifesto. Why aren't they doing it? Come on, Starmer. It's in your manifesto. Put it to the testo. Oh, like the Tories have never U-turned, says Serendipity Journey. Yeah, exactly. They U-turn on everything. They U-turn several times a day. Look at Rishi Sunak U-turning on onshore wind farms. So we had this ridiculous law in the UK that the Tories brought in because they are under the cosh of the big oil companies that run the world. And they said, we don't want this renewable energy. That sucks, okay? No more renewable energy. What can we do to get rid of it? Well, the thing about Tory voters is a lot of them are NIMBYs. And so what we can do is we'll set something up where we only need one NIMBY in any particular area who can see an onshore wind turbine from several miles away, and they can put in a complaint and then it won't be put in. Effectively killing off any expansion of wind turbines. And Rishi Sunak said last year, well, we're going to revisit that. We'll have a look at it because we do need more wind turbines, obviously, as we transition away from oil and carbon, disgusting, dirty fuel, dirty, polluting, child-killing, planet-killing dinosaur juice. I know it's not made of dinosaurs. Shut up. Sorry, that was a bit rude. I know it's not made of dinosaurs. It's just an expression. So I was going, well, actually, Graham, you'll find that it... Yeah, so and then last month, in September, he U-turned on that again, and then he U-turned again at the Tory Party conference. Like he's U-turned on that policy so many times, he's just spinning in circles. Did you see King Charles's Greek flag patterned as he spoke to Sunak? Yes, absolutely brilliant. I don't think he was talking to Sunak. Was he talking to Sunak? I thought he was at the COP28 in Dubai. But yeah. Oh my God! Or United Arab Emirates. I don't know if it's actually in Dubai. He was wearing the Greek flag on his tie. And I don't know if any of you saw the front cover of that newspaper in Greece, which was F you Sunak, F you bastard. I think it said that was the front cover of the newspaper with a picture of Sunak there. Brilliant, love it. Anyway, and we've lost Shane McGowan as well. We lost Shane McGowan. We also lost last week, on the same day, we lost Kissinger. We lost Alistair Darling. which is sad. I had time for him. I thought he was a pretty good Chancellor, Labour Chancellor. We lost Shane McGowan of the Pogues, and we also lost Dean Sullivan, who played Jimmy Corkill in Brookside, which is particularly upsetting for me because I worked with Dean about 15 years ago. We worked on a few projects together. I actually attended his 50th birthday party, which was great. They had a George Michael impersonator sing a song. It was a good time. But yeah, we worked on a pilot for a TV show called Terry Crossed the Mersey. And in it was about this bigamist who had two families, two wives on either side of the Mersey, and one of them was working class, and the other one was sort of middle, rising upper class. And he had led these two very different lives, and would get the ferry across the Mersey too. And his name was Terry. It wasn't picked up for a series, unfortunately, but yeah, great days. But he was a really, really nice lad, really nice fella, and yeah, and obviously Shane McGowan going. Is a tragedy. He was a very, very, very talented singer and songwriter. Probably more songwriter than singer, but you know. He, yeah, and I think that it's a fair bet that Fairy Tale of New York will finally get to Christmas #1 after, what is it, 25 years or something it's been out, because quite famous, oh God, 35 years, Jesus. 35 years has been out, because it was quite famously beaten to Christmas #1 by Always on My Mind, the Pet Shop Boys cover of Always on My Mind by Elvis, which featured Joss Ackland, who we lost last week as well. I don't know, they take out Kissinger and they're like, well, we've got to take out all these nice people as well because that's just the way it works. Was Kissinger a loss? No, he was 100 years old. He'd had a good innings, let the bodies pile high. We can talk about that another time because I've got to go. It's 4 minutes past 10. I was going to do the papers with you and everything. I had the papers all set up. Here they are. Look, there's the Times and the Financial Times and the Daily bloody Mail having a go at the bloody BBC and the Tory Graph having a go at the BBC and the Tory Graph there twice for some reason and the Guardian saying, "Oh, won't turn on spending taps." The Guardian's really, really anti-Labour now, which is just it's quite weird. I always thought it was a pro-Labour paper, but it's not. And then this Thatcher backlash hit Starmer, which is what we were talking about at the top of the show this morning. And also, don't write us off. Tories plan for election battle. Yeah, good luck with that, lads. Okay, so I'm going to head off now. Thank you very much for joining us. I might be back tonight for the swear jar. We'll have to see what Tansy's up to. But if she can do that tonight, I'll be along at 8 o'clock for some choice quality swears. I'll have to find out where I put the swear jar while I was away. Kids are probably taking it. It's like, this money's no good. This is all foreign money. Yeah, if you can join us for that, that'd be great. If not, look out for Moments of Truth. That will be published later today. I'll have to start making them again now that the Ukraine journey is all over. Thank you so much for all of the donations that we got. It was absolutely incredible response, and we went from just thinking that we'll probably just fill up the boot of a car with some Lego and take it over there to actually filling up a proper sprinter-sized van chock full with toys and humanitarian aid, and just big thanks to everyone who helped us out with that, especially Frank and Adam who drove over there, and Dinger Jock Gordon who came over with me last year, helping set it all up in motion, and Rob Peacock over in Ukraine, who's the charity that we're working with, works with children anyway, so it was just a perfect marriage of working with a Ukrainian charity to take the stuff over there and make sure it's gone where it needs to go. And for those of you following the journey, it was dropped off on Friday in the depot in Lviv to be taken to Kharkiv, because we found that was the most cost-effective way of doing it, and obviously it's your money that we're using, so we don't want to, make it too expensive. But it cost about £311 to take it from Lviv to Kharkiv. Those roads aren't particularly great, and it's 1,000 kilometers. So that arrived yesterday. So today, the charity over there is going to be sorting through the presents, and hopefully we'll get some photos of that, and then tomorrow they're going to start distributing them. Cool stuff. And thanks to Fax over in Ukraine, who sent me a message last night explaining what's happening with Christmas over in Ukraine. So until the invasion, pretty much, they celebrated it when the Eastern Orthodox Church celebrated it. Belarus and Russia, which was on January the 7th, I think, 6th or 7th. But then since the invasion, they've moved it from the Eastern Orthodox Church, where the Patriarch was in Moscow. They've moved it now or rebranded it as the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, where the Patriarch is in Kyiv. And and they've moved Christmas to December the 25th. Although they're not necessarily going to open their presents on December the 25th. That's a religious holiday. It'd probably be on January the 1st for New Year. But we might have to do something similar next year and the year after that, the way things are going. But we'll try and get to as many get as many presents out as we can. This was a successful trip. We'll try and build it up from there. We've got everything in place now for scaling up. Thank you so much for everyone who contributed to it. Also, thanks to Adam's wife and his mother-in-law and his daughter, who wrapped up all the presents and sourced them all, which was fabulous. 400 presents, each individually, beautifully gift wrapped, ready to be distributed around the Kharkiv Oblast to children's centres and children who have been displaced by the war. So, right, I'm getting off now. Phil will be back in the morning at 9:30, and I should hopefully be back this evening with the swear jar. Maybe if Tansky can't do it, I'll ask A. Thompson again. He's a good lad. But thank you very much. Oh, LU2D Games, £10 super chat. Graham, let everyone know what you're collecting for next Christmas. Toy Types, blankies. Oh, thank you very much for the super chat. Well, we don't know yet. I'm going to try and set up a meeting with the people at Lego, so we might be able to set something up that is a bit bigger and a little bit, scale it up. Like I say, scale it up. Maybe try and get a HTV over there rather than a van. And I can ride in the cab, maybe. I don't know. The next year, imagine it'd be so much worse this time next year. It's not going away. We were talking to a copper on the board, and he said it's going to be 5 years. Another 5 years. That's what the word on the street is in Ukraine. Anyway, Nicky D says, I forgive your clickbait headline now, Graham. Okay, listen, I'm going to go over to the Discord server now. So if you want to go and listen to the James O'Brien listening along on there, I'll be there for the next half hour or hour. So if you want to go and join me on that, you are very welcome to if you are a patron or a member of this channel. But I've gone way over time. So until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.